You cannot pick up something new while you're holding on to something old. I know we're only a week in, but how are those New Year's resolutions going? Today, on the first PSA of the new year, I want to present 3 thoughts on how we can thrive in 2025 if we adopt them into our daily disciplines. 1, start your day off in His Word. 2, remember God comes first. 3, there is a pace for your grace. My name is Felix if you're new around here, and if you're back, thank you. Last week, my wife presented a beautiful fact that Jesus can be our kinsman redeemer, a term that's not frequently used, but a thought that is greatly needed in today's overindulgence of self. So 3 thoughts I've seen great success from and scriptures to support them that I think will help you make 2025 your most prosperous one yet. 1, start your day in His Word. In Lamentations 3, starting in verse 22, it says, "Because of the Lord's great love, we are not consumed, for His compassions never fail, and they are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. I say to myself, the Lord is my portion, therefore I will wait for Him." I have a cheat code for this. I set my alarm inside my Bible app, so when I first touch my phone, the first thing I see is the verse of the day. From there, I move on to my daily routine, and for me personally, it's more reading and writing. Now, even if you're not a believer, you will still benefit from a positive affirmation before you dive into all the noise of the day. And I would challenge you to even note a few thoughts that came to you from what you read, and list some things that you're grateful for at the beginning of your day. The end of the verse says, "Great is your faithfulness." He is faithful, but the question is, how faithful are we? This has been my daily practice faithfully for at least 10 years. You will be surprised of what will come out of implementing this healthy practice to start off your days. 2, remember God comes first. In John 3:30, it says, "He must become greater and I must become less." Now, this includes His plans, His challenges, and His pace. We often pray for our plans first and sometimes find ourselves praying for help because we moved on those plans before hearing from Him first. So be careful what you pray for. What if we prayed for His plans and what He would want us to do before every decision? Again, this might be a little challenging for the non-believer or the newer to faith, but when you wrap your head around that God is only good and wants us to prosper, you start to see your losses as lessons, and you get a chance to look for God in all of them too. 3, there is a pace for your grace. In John 19, starting in verse 28, Jesus has seemingly just about left us. In another human moment, He states that He's thirsty. A merciful guard dips this rag in a kind of pain-numbing elixir, and he raises it to Jesus' lips, and it says, "Later, knowing everything has now been finished, and so the scriptures would be fulfilled, Jesus says, 'I am thirsty.' A jar of wine vinegar was there, so they soaked a sponge in it, put the sponge on a stalk of hyssop plant, and lifted it to Jesus' lips. When He had received the drink, Jesus said, 'It was finished.' With that, He bowed His head and He gave up His spirit." I shared a message a while back that I want to reiterate this point, since we just finished passing the finish line of New Year's, which marks the beginning of the next year. When we run a race or just watch one, we often see the athletes, or like NASCAR, the starting line, after they loop it, becomes the finish line. And oftentimes, life is exactly the same way. After these 3 simple words, when Jesus said, "It is finished," was actually when His greatest impact would begin to take place. His time as a man walking amongst us had finished in the flesh, but Him in the spirit was set to impact eternity. We too have a similar ability. As it says in the scriptures, we are created in His image. So we see our time is finite, but as a follower of Christ, we believe our spirit will live for eternity. Just how we study Jesus in the flesh, we study him in the spirit and him as God. So we see our time here, like his, can have eternal impact depending on how we choose to invest our time in our lives. How many times have you said it was finished? Now look at us here on the other side of another year. If you already fell off track with your resolution, it's okay, because today is the first day of the next year's worth of time. God is not done with us yet. I know we might be going off a little on the deep end for the first week and the first message of the new year, but I want to see you have the greatest year of your life, and I know implementing these 3 things will contribute to just that. By adjusting my spiritual formation, I went from living for myself to serving him, and in return, I've seen moments that I could have only dreamed of. And by helping some of you and some others connect with him, it's proof positive that we can have an eternal impact with our temporal time here. Let's start off our days in his words. Let's let him lead our choices, and let's be conscious of the impact that remains when our spirit has left the space that we're in, and watch and see how you will thrive in 2025. Until next week, let's love more, and I'll see you at the next PSA. Start spreading the good news. Okay, dad jokes all day. If you like this message, please share it with the first person that comes to mind. And check out some of these other ones from my wife and I. We have so many more coming for you this year. Take care.